What's up guys, Chaz with the Lifestyle Warrior here, bringing you another edition of your beginner series. Today we're going to cover something that a lot of people struggle with, and this is one of the main reasons Amazon can suspend you. We're talking condition guidelines. This is such an important... Don't drop your inventory. It's a bad thing. It's a good thing this is an eBay item. Condition guidelines. This is something that a lot of people don't even bother to read. Amazon will lay down the ban hammer so fast if you are making the #1 mistake that I think most newbies make, and it's listing with the wrong conditions. So if you don't know what the condition guidelines are, I'm going to very briefly run through them just to give you an idea of what each one is. But I need you to become resourceful like we talked about in that first video of mindset. I need you to go in the description and click on the link I'm going to provide for you, because it is so important that you learn the condition guidelines like the back of your hand. It has to be that strict. Now, before I get into this, I know there's going to be a lot of people that don't agree with certain things I will say, and that's totally fine. You can choose to be a stickler by the rules, which I typically am because I like my account and I don't want it gone. So if you don't agree with one of the conditions that I personally list in, that's okay. Everyone runs their businesses differently. If you have a higher risk tolerance than I do, great, go for it. But as always in all of my videos, anything I ever share with you is just based on my own experience and what I've seen from others. If you do not agree with something, that's okay. One quick thing I do recommend is click on that link, open up the actual guidelines, and put it to the side of this window so you can read through and understand what I'm talking about. So let's dive in. Now, starting with the new condition, a lot of people, including myself, I'll share a few mistakes that I made in the beginning. I'm gonna read this right off of their website. Just like it sounds, a brand new, unused, unopened item in its original packaging with all the original packaging materials included. Original protective wrapping, if any, is intact. Original manufacturer's warranty, if any, still applies, with warranty details included in the listing comments. Now, at the time of this video, the new condition comments are still enabled as of March 8th. If you're watching this after March 8th, 2017, they are going to be taking away the comment section on any items that are listed as new. But as of right now, that's what they state. So here's the debate with new condition. Can you go into Walmart, pull an item off the shelf, and list it as new? That's where it gets to your risk tolerance. Technically, that item is no longer new. Yes, it's still new in the packaging, but it is no longer new. I'm not going to detour you away from listing it as new or tell you it needs to be like new or vice versa. That is 100% on you and your decision. Just keep in mind that Amazon is very, very strict with their authenticity. So if they ever come at you and say, hey, we need to have proof of authenticity of this product, you need to make sure you have, #1, your invoices if you're buying directly from a manufacturer, wholesaler, if you're buying from a distribution center. Those guys have the best invoices that Amazon wants to prove it's authentic. Backup in #2 is going to be your receipts. So with that being said, I'm not going to tell you which way you need to list your items. That is 100% on you and your risk tolerance. So I'll give you an example of a new item. As you guys can see, this is perfect condition. Has not been opened. It has the original packaging. It has a little instruction manual, all of that stuff in there. I can tell you one of the biggest mistakes I have ever made was when I was a newbie and I would take something like this, which looks new, minus the fact that it has been opened, and I, just like a lot of newbies, would put a piece of tape over this and list it as new. Even if everything inside of here is in great shape, never been touched, I would list it as new, and that was a massive mistake. If I would have had one customer complaint back then that said, hey, my item showed up and it's actually an open box, I would have gotten the ban hammer real quick. So tip #1, do not list opened or used items as new or even like new. So let's dive into the like new condition. An apparently untouched item in a perfect condition, original protective wrapping may be missing, but the original packaging is intact and pristine. That keyword pristine is what you need to pay attention to. There are absolutely no signs of wear on the item or its packaging Instructions are included. Item is suitable for presentation as a gift. So a couple keywords there. Number one is pristine and number two is packaging. There's been a lot of times where, again, I made a lot of newbie mistakes back in the day. A lot of times I would find something that had a beat up box or some shelfware on it, but the item inside was still new. Sometimes it was even still in the manufacturer's wrapping. So I would simply fix up the box the best that I could. Some of you saw this on my early pallet videos, and I need to go back and let people know that was a mistake. So in that example, you cannot take a new item with a crappy box and fix up the box with some tape or whatever and then try to send it in as like new or even new. That is a huge no-no in Amazon's world, and trust me, that ban hammer, you do not want to see it come down on you. So let's take this guy for example. At first glance, good condition, looks solid. I'm gonna list this as new, right? But then I think, oh crap, this is not in perfect condition, it's not pristine, and I have to look closer at the packaging. So you guys pay attention to the edges. I don't know how well this video is picking it up, but this has shelf wear. This has shelf wear along the edges, along the creases, and if I open this up, it's got shelf wear along the edges here. This is no longer a new or like new item according to Amazon condition guidelines. So I would have to go one step lower and list used very good. Now, some of you just got totally bummed out, and I get it, but here's the thing. Just because you have to list in a lower condition does not mean you have to sacrifice your price. I have listed a ridiculous amount and sold a ridiculous amount of products in very good that have sold for just as much as like new or even closer to a new condition item would. So let's say Amazon's buy box currently is at $60 for this. If I was listing at used very good, I might come in at $50 because a customer might stumble upon that listing and search for other sellers, and they might say, oh, I'm gonna save 10 bucks. And here's what you do inside of those condition notes that you can write stuff in. I'm going to let the customer know everything is in the box unopened, it's in pristine condition. The box or packaging has shelf wear. Those are key words that you can use inside of your listing, so that tells the consumer, this is a new product, it's just gonna have some shelf wear or box damage. That's another word that you can use too, is box damage. So here's another example of an item that we pull off a shelf. This box is in awesome shape. It's got just very minor, I'm talking like you can barely see tiny little creases on this thing. So this would easily be considered used very good, borderline used like new, except for one fact. If I turn this around, there is a tab missing away from the box. Again, if you are a newbie and you make a mistake like I have in the past, simply try to put tape over this and call it like new, or even new, even though inside of here the car and everything is still in its original packaging, even with the styrofoam around it, even with the product itself being new. Amazon does not care, it's about the box too. You have to treat the box as the product itself. So because of that minor issue right there, which to most customers will not be a big deal, right? But it's not about the customer necessarily, it's about Amazon because they care about the customer that much. So because of this reason, I would list this as used very good. Even according to Amazon's condition guideline, a used very good is a well cared for item that has seen limited use but remains in great condition. The item is complete, unmarked, or undamaged, but may show some limited signs of wear. Item works perfectly. So a couple key things with used very good. Number one, you do not need a box. Did you catch on to that difference? New and like new, you need the best of the best box condition and all of that. So we're away from that now. We're talking about used very good. You no longer need a box. Just like the condition guideline says, as long as it's working perfectly and it has very little or minimum signs of wear, you can ship it in. Here's a prime example of a used very good item that we actually sold many units from last year. This just happens to be a leftover iPad from that haul. So we got a hold of iPad first generations. These are in absolutely pristine condition, but there's no box. So this means we sent them in under a used very good condition. Now when we sold these, we did not need boxes, because we listed them under used very good because that's exactly what it says. this item is in great condition, it works perfectly, and according to Amazon's condition guidelines, we can list it under used very good. And of course we had the charger to go with it, and because we didn't have a box, here's what we did. Bubble wrap. We made sure there was a hefty layer of bubble wrap that went all the way around this. Those are just a few examples. Of course, there are also good and acceptable condition guidelines, but like I said, I want you to become resourceful and do your research. So check out the Amazon condition guidelines, learn those, study those, even pick up different items, different boxes, and examine them and ask yourself, what condition would I list this under? Because a customer is gonna go into the Amazon listing and they're gonna go through all those different conditions, and if they order a like new item and they get it delivered and it doesn't come with a box, or it's missing instructions, doesn't come with a charger, it's missing something, and they complain to Amazon, the hammer comes down quick. So you need to make sure you put your items under the right condition. I cannot stress that enough. If you take anything out of any of these videos, it's this. We are playing on Amazon's turf, guys. They have very strict policies and guidelines that if you follow, you'll be fine. If you try to ride the edge a little bit and be a little bit of a rebel, try to get a few extra bucks out of that listing, it's not worth the suspension. It's not worth compromising your entire account. For some of you, this is gonna be an income. This is gonna be your legit source of income. You do not wanna put that on the line. Play by Amazon's rules. Just accept the fact that Amazon is gonna change a few rules. The things that I say in this video today might be different 6 months from now. They might be different a year from now. So it's up to you as an entrepreneur to do your research. This has just been a very simple guideline to follow. Again, check out those Amazon condition guidelines, print them off, put them on your wall, put them on your phone, do whatever you need to do, because especially when you are a beginner and you're just getting started, they're gonna be kind of confusing in the beginning, so you need to do your research on those guys. But aside from that, you guys have an amazing day. If you enjoy these videos, if you enjoy this content, you can support us and help do us a favor by dropping a comment below, hitting that like button, and subscribing. This has been Chaz. I'll catch you guys inside the Rockstars group.